Hi, everyone. It's Lynn Louise Wonders, and I'm very, very excited to be here with one of my dear friends and colleagues, Janet Courtney. Janet is a very well known trainer and author. She has done a lot of coursework, a lot of research around the subject of touch. And during this time of quarantine, I thought, what a great time for you to share with us a little bit about how you might help us to help our child clients and their parents and utilizing touch in a way of connecting when they're in the house together and there's so much togetherness, and yet there's also a layer of stress going on for the families. So I wondered what you might share with us.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Lynn, for the invitation to be part of this interview series that you're doing with practitioners. And I think you're helping a lot of practitioners that ultimately then translates down to helping families. So I'm so thankful for the work that you're doing.
Absolutely.
So basically, here's one of the overriding recommendations during this time of pandemic is that we all practice the social distancing, right? Or this social, basically it's really proximity. You know, we have to keep our physical distance from each other. But then when I started thinking about it, I was like, wait a second, our children and families that are home with each other, that children need touch, they need caring touch more now than they have ever needed before. And the thing that we do know is that when we offer that good caring touch, and it has to be a certain type of touch, that if children are feeling stressed, and what's happening when they're feeling stressed is that stress hormone cortisol is like running through all, around the body. And when we provide the touch, guess what happens? Immediately, the cortisol goes down while the oxytocin is released in the body. So they've done research on this. So immediately it happens. But guess what? There is a caveat to this. And the caveat is it has to be a certain kind of touch. So it has to be a caring touch. And the parent has to come from the most calm and self-regulated place as possible to provide that touch. So obviously, if the parent is anxious and then the child is anxious and they're all stressed out, then it's not going to work because they give that hug and then the child's going to pick up because what's happening, they are like seeds, they are, and also the mirror neurons, they pick up on what is happening with the parent. The parent has to first regulate themselves as well. They get themselves regulated. Then they're able to give that to their child. And the other thing that we know about this, the other caveat, is that touch needs to be for at least 30 seconds, that caring touch, for the oxytocin to release. So that can be encouraging parents to find, I always talk about having a conscious connection with the child. So it has to be I call it calm, relax, and connect. So it has to be a calm, relaxed, and conscious connection that the parent has with the child. So as much as we'd like to think, that the oxytocin is released if we give the child a good, a quick touch, like a hug, that's fine. But the hug needs to be, I'm regulated. I give the hug to the child. It needs to be at least 30 seconds. So one way that parents can provide supportive touch to children, especially, even teenagers, sometimes, they don't, you never support me, or I don't feel supported by you. Well, one way that we can do that is we can guide parents to take, a flat hand and put it in the middle of a child's back. And then have the child lean in to that touch so they can feel the support. At the same time, they're feeling the energy of the parent's touch and hand to that child's back. That's going to help release that oxytocin and at the same time bring a calm and relaxed and feeling of connection with the parent and child. And I always say a little bit goes a long way. When children act out, It's because a lot of times they're not feeling connected to that parent. So if we build a sense of connection, then when it's time to ask the child to cooperate with something, to pick up their toys, turn off the TV, get ready for bed, whatever the direction is, the child is much more willing to cooperate when they feel that connection with the parent. So they act out when they feel disconnected. So we build that connection, and the cooperation then follows. It's like naturally follows. So one way to do it, again, is to provide just, and it also could be to the heart. The parent could put their hand on the child's heart. Another way to do it is they can do hand to heart and then hand to back. So it's kind of like this. I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It. So hand to heart, hand to back, and then, kind of holding, for a few minutes like that. And to provide the good calmness for the hand to heart.
How do
And
you help? I'm sorry to interrupt you. I wonder, I'm just wondering if someone might have the question, how do you help the parent to know how to make sure that they are regulated before they try to do this touching?
absolutely. It's a perfect question. And this is where our time, our separate time that we meet with the parents comes in handy.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we're going over with them. So I may do a little bit of a progressive, what we call saying hello to self with that parent in the office.
Okay.
So they can get a sense for themselves of what it feels like and their own way, giving them a tool for their own way that they can help themselves de-stress. It's like we don't realize sometimes that we might not have to go out and pay that $100 or even more for that wonderful massage, and that's great. And if we can have that, but we can't usually get to that every day, and and of course, it may not be realistic at this point in time. It's not realistic.
Right.
So, but we can offer that to ourselves as practitioners, but we can offer that to teach parents how to do that for themselves. And the other thing is, they can then get a realization that, my program is called FirstPlay. It's FirstPlay infant storytelling massage, and then for the older children, it's FirstPlay kinesthetic storytelling, where and the practitioners teach the parents how to provide that good caring touch through a story. So when to back up then, for parents, if they feel for themselves what it's like to provide, I mean, it doesn't take long, some good caring touch to themselves, and then they feel the relaxation after that, then they know that, oh goodness, when I'm telling that story to my child and I'm adding the extra sensory components to it, my child is feeling that too, so
So,
they get a sense of it.
yeah. So, um, in order for us to help the parents to do that, and you mentioned the self massage, and I know because I got to take your training and it was so wonderful.
Mhm.
I'm thinking that this is something that we also can do for ourselves as therapists. So, and then we can maybe help them. If we're experiencing it for ourselves, then we're
Right.
able to help the parents experience it, which kind of takes us into the next topic I wanted to ask you about anyway. And that is your view of how we as therapists can be ensuring that we are attending to our own self-care. And so I wonder maybe if you could maybe guide us through that self massage.
Well, thank you very much. And you're absolutely right. I mean, we are at home and we're feeling the stress, and we're trying to help through teleplay therapy sessions, our clients to experience a sense of calm. But we can emanate that even through the videos and, through our computers. We can, give them a sense of peace. But it always comes back to self. I have to go and take care of myself first. If my pitcher is empty, then I'm pouring it out and there's nothing in there. Okay, so what I'd like to do then with you and everybody who's watching this is to maybe offer a little, what we call, and I actually researched this in my dissertation, saying hello to self. So basically we start with the hands, And we take our hands and we want to activate them. In Reiki, we call this creating a Reiki ball, an energy ball. So if you kind of pulse your hands back and forth, you kind of activate your hands as a healing touch tools, basically, even just for yourself. So we're pulsing it. And if you might be able to feel some energy, an energy pull within your hands, the more you do it, sometimes we can activate it first by just kind of rubbing our hands together like this, really, 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 really quickly. And then we can then try it again. You start to feel tingling. You might be able to feel it a little bit more. So you have healing touch, the healing touch, Midas touch, right? So basically, take your hands and then you can put them on your shoulders and then start to do, we're going to do a short version of this because of time. If you want, you can start with hands like this. You can even do cross. Sometimes that might be better, starting with one hand. And you know, when I do that for myself right now, you may find some tender spots. So kind of go around in those tender spots, kind of squeeze that area, pinch that area. And the beauty of giving yourself a self-massage is that you know for yourself how much pressure is good for you and how much is too much and how much is too little. Sometimes when we're offering that touch to, you know, guiding the parents with the children and families, we have to teach the parents how to figure out what's too much, what's too little. And we're doing that by looking at the cues of the child. Now, take your hand and then go all the way down, like my muscles are sore a little bit, to your hand. And then you can do your pinky, just a little pinch from the bottom going to the top, your big girl finger, pointer finger, or your big boy finger, who's ever listening to this right now. And do your thumb, little self-massage in the palm. What we're looking for, sometimes your sore spots. And you can always kind of massage a little bit more once you reach a sore spot. Now, if you stop a minute, and think of the side that you actually just did. Just kind of tune in, take a breath, and see if you can feel the difference, kind of sense the difference between the side of the body that you just touched right now and the side of the body that you have not touched. I can absolutely feel a huge difference. So go ahead, and if you feel a calling, you can, this side for me is, I can see a lot tighter. That is not unusual for me, that my right side will be a little bit tighter. So take that in, really take that in for yourself. I mean, getting to know yourself, paying attention to yourself is understanding your own bodily needs that you might not have even been in touch with, you know, prior to that. So really dig it. Oh my goodness. And I was not aware till I did that now, exactly how stressed and how tight that part of my body was. I mean, really tight. Okay. So now I'm going down my arm, and you can always come back to that, by the way. And you want to do your fingers. It's and ring finger, big girl, big boy finger, pinky finger, and all these hands. I mean, really think about it, how much these hands do for us every single day. Such a blessing for us to have these hands. So now make sure, sit up straight in your seat so your spine is straight. And anytime you do a neck roll, that's what we're going to do now, that's going to help this area, you have to have a straight spine before you do it. So drop your head forward and then very slowly allow the weight of your head. Now, if you have an injury, then you know you're not going to do this, or you're going to do it very, very carefully. And just allow the weight of your head to roll around, and I can see I'm very tight and I'm hearing a lot of creaking. Okay, come back to center, and then we always go the opposite direction. Make sure your spine is straight. Allow the weight. And as you do that, make sure your shoulders are dropped. Drop your shoulders. Drop them, you know, because sometimes we can take them and tense them up. So you drop your head forward. Now drop your head back and do a little stretch there. Come back to center and kind of drop your ear towards your shoulder, one shoulder. Take a breath. Remember, watch your breathing as you do this. Sometimes we can hold our breath when we do it. And just make sure you're breathing. And come back to the other side, which I'm seeing my range of motion this way is really very tight. Not a lot of range of motion. Now, if you want, you can just do another neck roll, going very slowly for whatever direction you feel. Like if there's a tight area, then watch your shoulders. Don't bring them up, keep them relaxed, put them down. Now, when you come back to center, I want you to really just kind of pay attention to the top of your shoulders. A lot of us carry stress within our shoulders, within our neck area, and just sense and feel just how much lighter that feels to just a little bit of attention, a little bit of attention.
Thank you. That
So
was
you
wonderful.
take a few minutes of that even before you start a session.
Yeah.
Just do a little bit of massage with yourself on both sides. Do a little bit of neck roll that opens up the spine, the nerve endings going up to the brain, so you'll think a lot clearer to be able to be present with your client, especially if you have back-to-back, even 2-3 minutes before you start the session.
So important. That's such a valuable tool. And it really is amazing how, you give that little bit of attention to your arm. And then I love the now feeling into both sides and noticing the difference.
Yeah.
I mean, that just right there is so instructional. So if people will just do this, like you said, before session, we're going to be able to be more present for our clients because we're taking care of ourselves. We're being present for ourselves. Thank you so much for being with me today, Janet. I know that everybody watching this is going to get a lot out of it. I just wanted to tell you how much I appreciate you. And I want to mention that I'm going to put links to Janet's latest book that just came out, her training.
I have 2 books right now.
You have 2 books?
Yeah, Healing Child and Family Trauma through Expressive and Play Therapy. So I'll send you that link too.
I will put links for both of them. And your training. Yes, and you've got the cafe, the Play Cafe magazine. Is that what it's called? First Play Cafe?
FirstPlay Cafe.
And there's a Facebook group. And so I'm going to put all the links to all your good stuff down below. And so I just really appreciate everything you're doing for all of us.
Well, I appreciate the invitation to be part of this. Thank you for all the work that you're doing in this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Janet. Okay.